In 1929, while cataloging the Topkapi Palace Library in Istanbul, a theologian named Gustav Diesmann found a scrap of gazelle skin. It was a fragment of a world map drawn in 1513 by the Ottoman admiral and cartographer, Piri Reis. This document would soon ignite one of the greatest archaeological debates in history, challenging everything we know about ancient exploration and geography. Piri Reis was a brilliant navigator. In the marginal notes of his map, he claimed he didn't survey the lands himself. Instead, he compiled the map from 20 older source maps. He cited 8 Ptolemaic maps, 4 Portuguese charts, and most tantalizingly, a map used by Christopher Columbus. This suggests the Piri Reis Map is a composite of lost, ancient geographical knowledge. One of the most striking features is the detailed depiction of the Caribbean and the coast of South America. It shows the correct longitudinal relationship between Africa and South America, a feat supposedly impossible in 1513 without the invention of the marine chronometer. How did a Turkish admiral possess such precise mathematical data nearly 3 centuries before its time? The most controversial aspect of the map is the landmass at the bottom. It shows a coastline that many researchers, including Professor Charles Hapgood, identify as the Queen Maud Land of Antarctica. The map depicts this coast in incredible detail, connected to the tip of South America, suggesting a time when the 2 continents were joined or mapped by someone with global reach. Hapgood's theory, supported by U.S. Air Force cartographers in 1960, claimed the map shows the Antarctic coastline as it looks without ice. Seismic profiles of the subglacial landmass match the contours on the Piri Reis map. This implies the original source maps were drawn thousands of years ago, before the Antarctic ice sheet covered the continent in its current frozen state. Charles Hapgood used the map to propose Earth crustal displacement. He argued that the entire outer shell of the Earth once shifted, moving Antarctica from a temperate zone to the South Pole. The Piri Reis map, he claimed, was a relic from a lost civilization that lived during this temperate era, documenting a world that was physically different from the one we inhabit today. If the map truly shows an ice-free Antarctica, it points to a mother culture that possessed advanced seafaring and surveying skills long before the rise of Egypt or Sumer. This hypothetical civilization would have been global, mapping the entire planet with a level of accuracy that vanished for millennia, only to be partially preserved in the secret libraries of the Ottoman Empire. The map uses a sophisticated Portolan style, but its center of projection is near Cairo or Syene. Experts noted that the distortions at the edges of the map perfectly mimic the curvature of the Earth as seen from a high altitude. This led fringe theorists like Erich von Däniken to suggest the source maps were based on aerial photography or observations from a great height. Piri Reis claimed his source for the New World was a map stolen from a Spanish sailor who had traveled with Columbus. Some historians believe Columbus wasn't discovering a new world, but was following ancient maps, perhaps even the same sources Piri Reis used, that already showed the existence of the Americas. The discovery of 1492 may have been a planned recovery of lost lands. Mainstream historians argue the Antarctica on the map is actually just the coast of South America bent eastward to fit the shape of the gazelle skin. They suggest the ice-free features are coincidental or represent the Terra Australis Incognita, a mythical southern land that Renaissance cartographers often drew to balance the world without any actual knowledge of its existence. The map accurately depicts the Amazon River, though its mouth is shown twice. It also shows the Andes Mountains, which weren't officially discovered by Europeans until 1527. The presence of these inland features on a 1513 map suggests that whoever drew the source maps had conducted extensive overland surveys of the South American interior, long before the conquistadors arrived. The Piri Reis map appears to show the Falkland Islands at their correct latitude, despite their official discovery being credited to John Davis in 1592. This is another anachronism that suggests the source maps were based on far more extensive exploration than 16th century history allows. The map acts as a silent witness to a prehistory of exploration that has been erased from the books. Some suggest the original source maps came from the Great Library of Alexandria. When the library was destroyed, some scrolls were allegedly smuggled out and ended up in Constantinople. Piri Reis, as a high-ranking official, would have had access to these imperial secrets, allowing him to compile a map that was effectively a time capsule of the world's most ancient geography. Determining longitude at sea was the greatest scientific challenge of the 1500s. Yet, the Piri Reis Map shows the relative distance between the Old and New worlds with startling accuracy. To achieve this, the original cartographers would have needed a precise knowledge of the Earth's circumference and a method to track time tools that wouldn't be perfected until the late 18th century. The map is decorated with colorful illustrations of strange animals and mythical creatures sitting on the landmasses. While these seem like typical medieval flourishes, some cryptozoologists claim they represent extinct species. One creature on the Antarctic coast resembles a prehistoric ungulate, adding another layer to the theory that the map depicts an extremely ancient world. Beyond its mystery, the map is a masterpiece of Ottoman art. It features beautiful calligraphy, vibrant pigments, and intricate compass roses. It was a gift for Sultan Selim I, intended to show the Ottoman Empire's global reach and its mastery over the seas. It was a political statement as much as a geographical one, a claim to the newly found lands in the name of the Caliph. Only 1/3 of the original map survives. The missing portions would have shown the rest of the world, including the Indian Ocean and the Far East. Historians wonder what other impossible details were lost when the gazelle skin was torn. If the surviving fragment shows Antarctica and the Andes, the lost sections might have contained secrets that would rewrite all of human history. Modern cartographers have used computers to undistort the Piri Reis Map. When adjusted for a spherical projection, the accuracy of the coastlines increases significantly. This suggests the map was a copy of a copy of a copy, and the errors were introduced by Piri Reis himself. As he tried to fit ancient, superior data onto a 16th century format he didn't fully understand. One theory suggests the map's sources were preserved by the Knights Templar, who were rumored to have traveled to the Americas long before Columbus. The Templars' naval fleet and their connections to the East could have provided the ancient maps that eventually found their way into the Ottoman archives. The Piri Reis Map might be the final piece of the Templars' secret world atlas. Today the map is kept in the Topkapi Palace Museum in Istanbul. It is rarely displayed to the public to protect it from light damage. It remains a treasure of the Turkish people and a central pillar of the ancient astronaut and lost civilization communities. It is a physical object that forces us to ask, how much of our history is truly known, and how much has been forgotten? Piri Reis himself met a tragic end. After a failed naval campaign, he was executed in Egypt in 1553. His massive library and maps were seized by the state. His Kitab-i-Bari Book of Navigation remains one of the most famous sailing guides in history. But his 1513 world map remains his most controversial legacy, a ghost of an admiral who knew more than he was supposed to. The map shows islands in the Atlantic that don't exist today, but match submerged seamounts. This suggests the map was drawn when sea levels were lower, likely at the end of the last ice age. This bathymetric accuracy is the strongest evidence for the map's extreme antiquity, suggesting it documents a world where the coastline was shifted by the weight of the melting glaciers. The grid system used on the map, known as a rumline network, is incredibly complex. It shows a knowledge of trigonometry that was highly advanced for the period. So the map is not just a picture, it is a mathematical model of the planet. It proves that the people who drew the source map saw the world as a globe and had the math to prove it, long before the Age of Enlightenment. The Piri Reis Map has appeared on Turkish currency and is a source of intense national pride. It has inspired countless novels, documentaries, and theories. It stands as a challenge to the Eurocentric view of history, proving that the Ottoman Empire was at the forefront of global knowledge and that the discovery of the world was a much older, more complex story than we were told. The Piri Reis Map remains a puzzle with no final answer. It is either a series of incredible coincidences and creative guesses by a Turkish admiral, or it is the most important document in human history, bridged to a forgotten era of global exploration. As long as it exists, it will continue to haunt our understanding of the past. A map of a world we are only just beginning to rediscover.